Hi, it's Warren Whitlock here with another emerging technology. We talk about emerging technologies because it's what's happening in the future. Not much chance we're going to live in the past. No matter how many times somebody says, "Hey, I was the good old days, we like things." I think we get nostalgic for the good old days because we can't see them right now, and all we remember is the good things. I know every year that goes past, departed friends and family seem all that more important, and I should have said more to them, and I wish I could see them. I think that happens to anything that's in the past, is that we want to have more of the good times, and we try to forget about the bad times. But I'm here to say it a little bit differently. The future is where we're going to live. We might as well get used to it. I think the future is going to be so much better. Why would I want to live in the past? There's a saying that you should try to live in the present. I kind of like that. Be of the moment, pay attention to what's going on. Don't get lost in your thoughts about the past or future and get on with living where you are. But since right now, that's you listening to me talk about emerging technology in the future, it is living in the future for a moment. With that said, let's talk about some of the things that are coming. One of the things I get asked about all the time, what's going to happen to jobs? Are we suddenly not going to have any work and people are going to be poor? Boy, I don't know of anybody who is actually out there creating the technology that's gonna make our future so much better, who would say that they think that it's okay if somehow we lose a lot of people in it, or that we don't think about everyone when we're creating this thing. Yeah, it's nice that a billionaire can do something and that they can take advantage of more technology. That's not how the guys inventing the stuff think about it. We always are trying to think of what everybody can use. And there's world problems that we know about, we take care of. Sometimes the popular notion of problems are not quite as focused on the abundance as they should be, but I'm not here to fix any of that. So what's happened is in the past, every time there's been any kind of change, any kind of technology, any way to better yourself, there are people who are left behind in their thinking and they don't want to accept it. There's a fear of the unknown, and there's a satisfaction of being able to have the consistency of how life's always been. And over many thousands of years that we know about in recorded history, it comes out the same way every time. Sooner or later, their kids or their grandkids accept the technology and do better. Examples to the contrary are very few, but there are some people that have no cars and live with a buggy and they're still a horse and buggy, but it's not like they couldn't choose to live some other way. And we're not, that's a whole different thing. If you choose to go out, live in the wilderness, or stay in your jungle home where your tribe has always been, more power to you. Those people are good. But I'm guessing they're also not listening to me. So let's talk about us, the people who want a better life for ourselves and our family. And all of the examples we see are that as sooner as you can get into the technology, the better. I've been there for major changes before in my short time here on Earth. We've seen television become very, very present, and we've seen people say television is going to ruin the world. There's some societal changes that are reflected on what happens with TV and movie programming, but for the most part, they can still tell a really good story, and when they do it, it can get out to more people. The information gets to more people. Same with computers. Same with automatic transmissions on cars were not standard back in the day when even by the time I learned to drive, everybody learned how to drive a manual transmission. Today, not so. Hardly make any cars like that. The automatic transmissions had flaws. Guess what? They figured out what to do about it and make for a better automatic transmission. Same with everything. Cell phones, I'm never going to need a cell phone. Email, I'm never going to need email. Just on and on. Every piece of technology that comes out, people tell you. For myself, there's a time I learned about SMS, the text messaging, and it stands for short message service. And so I thought, man, that's nice that you can just answer somebody with text and not talk to them. Seems convenient, but I don't see this catching on, right? I have to use my phone to get the message. Well, gosh, I would just go ahead and talk to the person. That was my attitude in the 90s. Fast forward a decade, I never said I was against it, but the US actually was behind in adoption of the short message service. By the mid aughts, some people put it together and figure out what if we could have more than one person on a message, and what if we could use this in other ways, and they invented something called Twitter. And by 2008, I was writing a book about how the Twitter revolution was going to change things of how we communicate. And sure enough, we were right. Mobile in general, it's not just the Twitter and the tweets, or now called X by some. And it wasn't just that one platform, it was mobile messaging in general. I think back up at the times I got, I don't know if I need that. Now I can't imagine living without being able to text. And most of the business I do, the day to day, not talking to people. We have the Zoom meetings, and then we go by text. So just think of what the technology can do to your ability to have a job. The big one, of course, is AI. Right now, if you learn how to use the ChatGPT type LLMs, the large language model, that do a good job of predicting what text should go into something that it's writing. It's not a thing where you go there and it does your term paper for you. There where you go there and do something that you couldn't do before. For instance, I discussed it on this channel before. I never do a podcast without opening up a chat agent and talking to it about what I'm going to talk about and getting the ideas organized so I can present them a little bit better. Still not the most organized guy in the world, but we're getting there. We're doing stuff. If you learn how to do that, you're going to be the person using a who gets the job rather than the person who doesn't use AI and doesn't get the job. Will the jobs change? Absolutely. We no longer make the things we needed for old economies and old technologies, and we move on and need other things. There's a time when being a switchboard operator was a pretty good job. Now we don't need switchboard operators. We don't need a receptionist when you go into a building. That person is deployed doing other things. You occasionally have somebody that sits in the front and says hello to people, but they're very busy doing other things because they can now. They don't need to focus on, can I get the calls routed to the right place? And maybe they can spend a little bit more time with people, depending on the job. The best example is as AI helps doctors diagnose, they can spend less time having to struggle to keep up with all the new technology that's coming out and actually utilize that to help in every job, top to bottom, everything. Definitely law can change the volume of paperwork and things we need to do with the smart contracts and blockchain coming into play in so many industries. Be able to do a contract so that when party A does something and party B does something else, then document number 74 comes out and commemorates that or unlocks something, escrow. I put in the deed, you put in the money, and the property is transferred. And that can be on anything that you can digitize, which real world assets that are going to be digitized just go on and on and on. It's called RWA, the technology that allows us to transfer title to things, to pieces, to log everything that happens. When you put AI on blockchain, now you got a double whammy. It's able to put every transaction that happens, for instance, even a basic chat, every log of that transaction can go into an immutable record and never be lost. All done automatically, keeping track of when something ships from one place to another automatically, all roads. And of course, robotics, we see so much of right now. I'm seeing just so many advances coming. The smart people are saying billions of robots in the next 10, 15 years. Billions. I've heard 10 billion. That's more than there are people on Earth. So think about it as being normal that, like you never imagined that you needed that smartphone and now can't live without it, it's going to be can't live without the robots. And somebody's got to take care of setting these things up, teaching the people who don't know anything about them. And of course, anything that that you can relieve you of the drudgery of the work so you can go off and spend the time with the high level stuff like thinking, feeling, communicating. It will be great. But the technology will make it so much easier. For instance, not long ago, I wouldn't have thought about doing a series of podcasts talking about emerging technology because I couldn't sit at home in front of my computer and talk and then have it affect so many people. Today I can. And it's a blessed time that we have. Podcaster is a job that didn't exist in the past. And I don't know of anyone predicting that podcast would be a big thing. Now it is. Social influencers, but the technology that allows us to have, "Hi, look at me. I like this. Will you buy it?" is gonna change. I saw technology yesterday that allows any kind of advertising to be turned into not advertising, but convenience for the people. Particularly, it was in playing games. And in the future, when you play a game, instead of getting the machine dispenses a ticket and you get to go pick out a crummy prize with your tickets, which is part of the fun of going to an arcade, but it's been replaced by something even more fun. You'll be able to use a digital screen to do that, to dispense the tickets or calculate your score or whatever. And it can either give you dispense the gift, robotics or whatnot could do that, like a vending machine. But let's think about what new jobs come out of it. New stories can be told in the technology that makes Pokemon Go work and so fun to play. You'll be able to go on an adventure to get a reward, probably is tied in and sponsored by a business. And then if you complete it, you maybe get another thing. Maybe that's where you get your coupons for discount on your next meal, whatever we can dream up. The same kind of mechanisms of marketing work, but instead of being intrusive with, we are going to send to every house this flyer and tell people about something, it'll be people that are looking for something will discover it. And that's really what we want. If you run a good business, you want it to be discovered. You have to do some form of marketing so that people can discover. The old saying was, if you build a better mousetrap, people will, and do it in the middle of the woods, people will make a path to your house and come and get your mousetrap. Well, that's a nice thought, but in my 50 years of working on marketing, there have been very few times I've seen something take off like that. Some of the technology that seems to do so well today being introduced and adopted on the web, everything from, games to AI technology, don't have an ad budget per se, but they do have marketing going on. It's by attaching it to something that's already happening. Really hard for anything to catch on without other people saying, "Hey, this is great. Look at this." And will we be paid for that? Don't know. There's got to be a lot of jobs in it. I like to tell the story of, and I made this up. This is not, please don't quote me on this one, but I imagined what happened when Harry Potter became popular. Harry Potter, great children's novel series, and the story told of how that came to be was that a mother made up a story for her son, embellished it, and then added to it, and then decided to turn it into a book. That may or may not be true. I don't know. I've never met Rawlings to ask myself. But somewhere between that and the billions of dollars made on the lines of that brand had a whole lot of people working very hard to make it happen, and professionals, marketing, publishing. And so those are jobs that didn't exist when a story was told and it maybe was written down or maybe was passed on through generations. The old fairy tales and things that we have from the past took a long time to develop. Star Wars. There was no Star Wars, and then there was Star Wars, and then everything was Star Wars. And we find that most startups have a huge part of what they're doing after we make it, we're going to have to let the whole world know about it. And that's Also true in the entertainment. We make a show, we make sure everybody knows about it. With more precision in the future, because AI will be involved in the process and will be able to automatically know who wants what. So the idea that you go on a quest and win a sandwich as your prize, and you just happen to be standing in a sandwich shop with your friends, and you got to buy sandwiches for everybody else or sodas to go with the sandwich. And that won't happen if what you really want to eat is a salad or a bowl of rice or a whatever it is. The technology will be able to adapt. The interesting thing is, he said when he wanted to send people to a restaurant, they would put in how many people they want to have walk through the door in an hour. Presumably, the people can walk in the door, and a certain percentage of them will win and buy something. Other people walk in, walk out, and so you got to set a limit on that. Well, guess what that means? I send you exactly the kind of customers you want, exactly at the rate you want them, so that you don't have 1,000 people walking in every hour. The technology allows to absolutely dictate how many of each thing happens, instead of the old way of we're going to broadcast from the radio station and hope it hits people, or we're going to print as much as we can and hand out enough flyers and hope that some people get them. The vast majority of that stuff becomes waste. In the AI world, it doesn't. We need people to be thinking of these innovative things, working together, collaborating, and making new things. So if there be more there, where you do your job is going to change. I right now say if I have my phone in my mouth, I can work from anywhere. And even though most of it's not talking on the phone, most of it is using the technology that's there. So if I go to a conference or I need to travel or I'm stuck at an airport, I can continually be working. I don't work near as intensely as I had to do when I was trying to finish stuff by deadline and get out of the office, because I had to worry about commuting and do I want to get stuck in traffic and things like that. No more. I work where I am. And my kind of work, some of which I've been talking about here today, yeah, that's fine. Your kind of work might be different. If you serve people, you'll be able to spend more time serving people. Like the stat I share over and over again, most of the time you're getting medical care is duplicated by the time they have to do with the paperwork for doing that. We eliminate the paperwork side of that. Those jobs, those positions might go away, but the opportunity for the people doing it to do a better job at their non-record keeping part will be better. I got a partner that works with me, the company that produces the podcast, and he's phoning in from Africa right now. He is on an extended trip there, and we talk as if he was nearby. I've got other people I work with that are only a mile away, and I hardly ever see them. And then the people I do see, I can spend time with because there's still that human bonding part. There's going to be more people needed in anything that is working with people and helping them. Healthcare. If we're going to need more energy, oh boy, we need more, and we're building cleaner, better energy. So health, and of course, it's cybersecurity. I think I'm going to do an episode. Usually, I don't like to focus on anything negative, but cybersecurity is a fascinating topic. We're going to do a pod on that soon. Anyway, there are unknowns. There are things that could get scary, but for the most part, we're looking at abundance. So get ready for more abundance and stay tuned. Would you like, comment, and share this episode? I'd really appreciate it. If you click on the subscribe button, you help get to more people, tells the algorithms the right thing. I understand you may not be able to watch every episode, but please like and subscribe. Do me a favor. And if you get anything out of this, leave a comment. Tell me about it, an idea you have for a future show, something you'd like to know more about, or what did I miss? I'd love to hear from you. I'm Warren Whitlock, and this is Emerging Technologies.